Hey everyone, I am Amy Johnson. I'm here with Amir Karkouti, and we are two of the speakers of the upcoming Principles of Addiction Recovery Conference, which is going to be happening in May in St. Paul, Minnesota. And Amir and I both work with people in addictions in different ways, and we've seen a lot about how this new paradigm helps with recovery and really far beyond just recovery. So we just want to share a little bit about what we've seen and tell you a little bit about the conference. So, hey, Amir.
Hey, what's up? Thanks. I wanted to say you didn't botch my last name, which is very unusual. So thank you for that. I'm so excited. I think this is going to be such an incredible event. I wanted to share and love to hear perspective too on why this is going to be different. I think that's really important because there is a ton of conferences on mental health, substance abuse, and this is the first time we're doing this. So this is definitely going to be different because it's the first time. But one of the things for me that I've noticed, I've been at a recovery center for 4.5 years, is that people think that they have to suffer until they find joy. Like once I know a technique, once I learn this psychology this teacher is going to teach me, or once I read another book, or once I go to another meeting, then I'll find joy. And right off the bat, one of the differences I see with what we share and what we are trying to convey is that you can find joy now as you are discovering what's going on with you, what's happening with you in your life, and the changes that will gradually be made anyways, but you don't have to wait for joy to have those happen. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's one of the things that I've noticed that's different with what we share.
I love that. I think it really kind of reflects sort of a bigger understanding or misunderstanding around all of this, which I think I've seen in a lot of other kind of ways of getting help, whether it's around addiction or anything really. There's this mentality that is like you're broken until you're fixed. You're suffering until you find joy, like that whole either or
Right.
thing. And even that, and it's innocent. It's like, it makes sense from a certain way of thinking about it. But it's like, oh, we're moving on this journey. We have this goal of being sober or having this many days or all of that. And of course, we want to be healthy and happy and all of that as well. But that's what I hear in what you're saying, and what's kind of reminding me of this too, is that I think this newer paradigm is so different in that way, because it isn't about getting you somewhere so much as just seeing like, no, right this minute, we have no idea what's available to us. And when we just start to look toward that right now in this minute, without all this other stuff needing to change, ironically, that's exactly how and when other stuff begins to change. It starts to look a lot different.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've seen too. There's this quote that I really love, and it was Alan Watts, and I remember him saying that you're not obligated to be the person you were 5 minutes ago, and I wanted to upgrade that to you're not obligated to be the person you are one thought ago. Like that's really incredible. And when people come in and they're already thinking, I'm going to sit with Amir, or I'm going to sit with whoever, but you got to understand, I was a bad parent 10 years ago. I was a bad person a week ago. I was this, and now fix me or help me find another way. There's a fundamental misunderstanding, because as soon as you have a new thought, as soon as you see yourself in a new light, you are not who you thought you were 5 minutes ago, or not even a thought ago. But we don't look at it from that perspective. And again, this looks like it's sometimes it can seem like this is absolutely nuts. But I remember I'll never forget, there was a lady in my group, and she raised her hand and said, "This stuff sounds really cool on paper. I love the stuff you share, but we're addicts. How does this help addicts? Like this is, maybe if you stubbed your toe or something and but you're talking about people that have real problems." And before I was going to give my spiel, I actually was kind of lost. I'm like, well, how am I going to explain this? Someone else raised their hand and they said, can I try? And they said, look, I was so in my head about like life that I would take substances, right? Here's what's crazy. If I didn't take the substances, I wouldn't be able to go to work. because I was so in my head. That was the only way I could alleviate it. I've lost so many jobs. I lost my wife because of it. And he goes, do you know what's different now? I'm still in my head. That's not changed. I still get in my head. Here's the difference. I don't have to pull over anymore and figure out why I'm thinking that. I can drive to work with things in my head now. And he goes, that's what's revolutionary about this. In other words, this isn't a way to fix your thinking or change your thinking. It's that you're okay in spite of your thinking. That you can still kiss your wife if you're insecure about your marriage. You can kiss your daughter if you're insecure about parenting. You can do everything you can in spite of the thinking that we're in. That's revolutionary to me.
Yeah, and I think that's why change feels so hard for people, because we aren't seeing it that way. We're seeing it as all of these old things about the past need to go away, get resolved, get fixed. And it's this big, long journey to get us to some other place. But if you aren't obligated to be who you were a thought ago, well, then it's not so hard,
Yeah.
Then it's like transformation and deep lasting change is right there. I mean, it's always happening, really. That's the really crazy part. And, and I see that in the people I work with a lot too. Just like you said, there's so much, and me too at times, there's so much like thinking about who we are and who we should be and what happened, that we don't realize we're kind of keeping ourselves in that. But when that thinking is just there, like you said, we don't need to be so tied to it all the time. We're always changing.
Yeah.
We're transforming every single second. So it's really not that much of a stretch to see that people can have, huge life changes in short periods of time sometimes, when we kind of look in this different place.
Yeah, I always say like the and it's been used for something else, but the Me Too movement of Me Too, like when someone says I have anxiety, I go, well, me too. I have bad days. Yeah, me too. Well, what do you do about it, Amir? I have bad days. And like there's something about them like seeing that I'm no different. It's not like I've alleviated my stress, stressful thinking. I've alleviated having bad days. I've not alleviated it at all. I've just learned that that's just part of the human condition. And when you see it from that perspective, and you don't dwell on it constantly, it just starts to go away. It naturally, in other words, you have one less thing to do, which is manage your thinking, manage your marriage, manage your job, and it just gets exhausting. So now when you have one less thing to do, you have one more way to be available to life. And that's something that's transformative for people. When people are coming into my recovery center and they're going, I had crazy thinking today, but I went on a walk. Not I had crazy thinking today, so I sat at home and I had to figure it out. And I don't know why I'm like this, because I've done all these other modalities and I thought I was better than I thought I was going to be. And that's the part where we get stuck in our ways. And so this isn't what we're sharing in my opinion isn't a better way to live. It's to simply live.
Yeah.
It's to simply live.
It's so funny. It's like we think that the crazy thinking or the anxiety or insecurity or whatever is so painful. Like it in and of itself, it is so debilitating and painful that we need to add something to make it go away. But it's not. It's what you were just pointing to, I think, that we think it's painful and we think it's meaningful and we think we need to fix it and we think it's going to stick around until we fix it. That's what's painful. So it's so cool to see that too. Like, just like you're saying, like we just get to be fully human, but without all this heavy blanket of misunderstanding around it, that it means something and it's ours and all of that. Without that, we just feel what we feel are in life, like you're saying, and it's, I mean, as we're talking here, it's like we have this feel for how big the feeling of this can be, like the shift when somebody really starts to see this. And I don't know, for me anyway, every time I try to talk around it and put words around it, I just have this little voice in the back of my head that's like, yeah, but you're not even touching how awesome it can be to feel free in your experience. Like we kind of know what we're talking about, but I know people who are newer to this sometimes don't. But I think if if you can just even get a little sense, anybody listening to this, of like how much power there is, how much freedom there is in being able to like just letting yourself feel whatever you feel and knowing it's okay, knowing it's safe. Like you said, not having to add a bunch of new things and busy ourselves. Oh my gosh, like it becomes so obvious to see how that could clear up any addiction and anything else we suffer with or struggle with in life.
Yeah. And my last time I was at the recovery center, a guy was sitting next to me. He broke down in tears and he said, I fight with my wife in this room more than when I'm with her. And then she's not even in the room. And he goes, I wonder if that has any implications in our relationship. And I just let him sit with that, because that's what we do. We bring everything along with us, and we don't realize how detrimental that is.
Mhm.
We bring the job we lost 10 years ago to the job we got. We say I was divorced, and so I'm never going to be able to have another relationship. I wonder if that's any implications in your next relationship. Like, we don't realize how much we do that. And here's the kicker: I still do it, but I just catch myself a lot more, and I don't beat myself up for having that kind of thinking,
Yeah.
right? And it's the biggest blessing, but in disguise, because it seems so trivial when you see it, day to day. But it's the biggest blessing for people.
Yeah, I think it's so refreshing to when people are used to kind of having to think a lot about, like we're saying, their past and what they did and how their week went and all of that kind of stuff, to just be able to let a lot of that go. And that was me for sure, and a lot of the people I work with too. It's like just this churning of all the things that are kind of wrong that we sort of just carry around with us, and just to see we don't need to carry that around and resolve it in any way.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly we want to just bounce back to health, how we're designed to just bounce back to health and this moment and clarity and all of that, when we just see how our mind works a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm I don't know how I snuck into this event that's coming in. I'm actually more excited to sit and listen to speakers like you and some of the Dr. Bill Pettit and Sandy Crott, and some of there's about what, 30 speakers that are coming.
Yeah, I think there are 30 total. Yeah, it's amazing, from all over, from people who work in prevention, people who work with families, people who have been through addiction themselves or on the other side of
Yeah.
recovery after being around this paradigm. A lot of people like that, which I'm really excited to hear from. People who work in prisons, and like that's the beauty in a conference like this, an event like this, is that this what we're pointing to, this kind of paradigm for recovery, is already out there in big ways, and it's being shared all over the place with amazing results. And we all kind of anecdotally know that, but we haven't all come together and really shared it in one room. So
Right.
that's what I'm super excited about. I know we're all going to be shocked at, like, wow, even though we know it's amazing and we know we've seen what it does, to really like have that feel for, man, this is all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place, and the impact is going to ripple. And I think this hopefully, um, this ripples far and wide. And the people that are planning on coming, I just want to say that I'm so grateful for the people that have already signed up, that are going virtually or in person. I can't wait to meet so many people that I've only met online. And this isn't going to be, and this is something that I do want to stress. Although we are the speakers, I'm part of a panel called what is it? The Healers, something about the Healers.
Health of the Healer.
Health of the Healer, right? That's what it is. I forgot that. I'm sitting with called the Health of the Healer, and I was thinking about that, and I said, all of us are the healers. We all are the health of the healer. We are the healers, and and you don't have to know what this paradigm is like in and out. People will see it in you. They will say, what is it that you're experiencing? They'll know that you're more lighthearted, that you're coming from this deeper connection. And so, you know, I don't want anyone that's coming to feel like we're the specialists. We are the ones that are going to teach and share everything that we know. The truth of the matter is everyone in the audience already knows what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love how that's totally true, how it works that way, you know, and that's why I think this starts to resonate so quickly and so deeply with people, because it isn't foreign. It isn't brand new. We've maybe just forgotten it for a short period of time, or we've been thinking in another direction, but it resonates so quickly. Yeah, I love that that there's such a variety. I love that this conference is really going to be ideal for people who, for sure, people who work in the addiction field, because it is in any way, you know, in any way, volunteer by work. I mean, even like have family members who are going through recovery. Like, you know, I mean, if addiction touches your life in any way, this is amazing direction to see more about. And for people who are going through it themselves or have been through it, you know, and that's what I love about kind of the variety of what we have here. It's universal. So it's really speaking to all of that. It's not a bunch of how-tos and here's how you set up your clinic at all. It's really just stories. It's just human beings sharing stories of what we've seen in others. And I think it's going to be so powerful.
Yeah, I call this an equal opportunity psychology, or equal opportunity paradigm or understanding. It works the same for everybody. We all see it the same way, and once you see it, there's no turning back. That's the thing.
Yeah. So you mentioned that that the conference is virtual, which is great, as well as in person. So we'll share the link here beneath this video where people can find out more about all the details of the conference. But I did just want to mention that as well, that it's happening. It's May 14th through 16th in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is an amazing place for this whole field. You know, there's so much addiction recovery and just work being done there, books coming out of there, just, you know, so many professionals are there already. So it's a great place to gather for something like this, but that's where it'll happen live. And then we do have virtual seats available. So the whole thing will be live streamed, which is amazing too. So it's truly available to anyone around the world. And then we'll share the link with all the exact details.
Yep, I'm really excited, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person, and all the other the people that are going to be there. Can't wait to see them all.
Me too. Great. Well, thanks so much for chatting, Amir. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully this has been helpful. And if you have any questions about the conference, about this paradigm, about anything at all, we'll put our information there as well. So just feel free to reach out at any time. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.